In this video, we're going to talk about plotting function in MATLAB a little bit more. We've already tried this out before when we plotted the sine function. So if you recall, what we did before is to assign a range or to assign a variable that will act as the x-axis, which in this case is supposedly the time. And that time is ranging from -4 pi to +4 pi with a step size of 0.01. By calling the sine function of t, then I can generate the sine function and assign that the values of the sine function in the variable y. And what the plot function does is to plot y as a function of t. So the first argument in the function plot is t, and the second argument of the function plot is the first argument of the function plot is the x-axis, and the second argument of the function plot is the y-axis. And if we run this, then we get a figure for the plot. Okay, now what we have here is the default plot of MATLAB. The default plot of MATLAB assigns, MATLAB assigns its own step size, or what are called ticks, along the x-axis. Also, we have ticks along the y-axis, but we can change them. We can change them later, and I'll show you how to do that. And also, MATLAB uses a line, and the color of that line is blue. First, let's take a look at the plot function. What I'm going to do now here is to type in the plot function. In the search documentation, I can see different plot functions. I'll choose this one because that's the plot function that corresponds to what we need. So this is the documentation for the plot function. You can see that the plot makes a 2D line plot. There's a more detailed description here down at the bottom. But you can see here the correct syntax. The most basic syntax is one where you have these two arguments, the x-axis, the argument for the x-axis and the argument for the y-axis. Then you have these line specs. But you can also plot multiple variables here, as you can see. So x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, up to xn, yn. And if you do that, you have to assign a line spec for each pair of variables. So, so let's take a look at these line spec. So I click this, and I click here on the line spec, and it will bring me to the various line specifications, like the line style, the marker, and the color. Okay, it's all here in the documentation for the plot. So the line styles that are available in MATLAB is the solid line, the dashed line, the dotted line, the dashed dot line. Okay, so the solid line is the default, so you don't really need to use this that often. The dashed line is a double dash. The dotted line is colon, and then if you want to use a dash dot line, then you use a dash and a dot. So we can do that here. So if we want, for example, to use a dotted line, what we do is to add a comma here, add two, open and close single quotation marks, and then add the symbol for the dotted line, which is a colon. Okay, and if we run this, we can see that now it's the graph actually plotted a dotted line. Okay, so let's go back to the help. We can change the marker. We can use a circle, a plus sign, asterisk. We can use any of these. Okay, so just for simplicity, let's use these this diamond. Okay, so diamond. Then we have letter D. Okay, so if we do that, okay, you can type D here, or you can type D here. It doesn't matter. So if you do that, then we have the diamond. Notice that it ignores this dotted marker, because once you set in any of these markers, it ignores any of these line styles. So let's check if it's really diamond. So what we want to do is to hover here, and then you see this menu. Then you click this one. Then let's just zoom in somewhere here and see and check if they are real diamonds. So you can see that they're really diamond. The markers are all diamond shaped. Okay, you can use zoom out. Just click this button and then just scroll up like so. Okay, to go back to the main plot. Okay, what if I want to change the color? Okay, the default color is blue. And you have these various colors here, Y, M, C, R, G, B, W, K for yellow, magenta, cyan, red, green, blue, white, and black respectively. If I want to use, let's say, green, then I simply add G here or G here, it doesn't matter where, then it changes the color. Okay, let's use red instead because it's much pleasant, a little bit pleasant to the eye. It's not so hurt. The green is too bright. So I have here the red color and I have diamond as my marker. So if I want to use other colors other than those default colors that are available in MATLAB, you can do so if you know what the hexadecimal equivalent is. So you can type in the hexadecimal equivalent like so. So you just need an open-close single quotation. So for red, you have this, and so on and so forth. But again, if you'd like to use other colors, then just figure out what the hexadecimal color code is. So in this case, what we're going to do is not so straightforward. You just have to type color here, and then type in the hexadecimal code. So this will be for green 0. Okay, let's just copy this, make it easier. Just paste it. Okay, and if I do that, run it, then I get the color there. If I want to use diamonds again, I just do this. So include the diamond marker here, and then this will play the color. So like so. Okay, so for red, that's hashtag F 4 and 4 zeros. So I copy this and then paste it here. Okay. Okay, and then I have that. Okay. So again, you can use other colors other than the default colors. Just figure out what the hexadecimal equivalent or color codes are. Okay, now let's go to other parameters or line specifications. So if I want to use a line, I just simply remove this. Then it will go back to being a line. I'd like to simplify this, okay, and just for demonstration purposes. If I want to change the line width, I type this in. The default line width is 0.5. So if, let's say, I use a value of 5 here, I get a thicker line. If you want to know more, you can check out the other parameters for line specifications. For example, you can change the marker face color, the marker size, if the marker is too small, for example. Let's just change it to 0.1 so we have a little bit more space, or maybe just use 1. So let's change the marker size. So I type in marker size. The default is 6. So if I change it to 12, then what I should have, okay, let's use diamond as well. And what I should have is this, okay? Oh, and that's because I used a step size of 1, but if I change it to 0.1, now we see the shape of the sine function. Okay, so again, you can do a lot of things with the plot. But I suppose one of the things that you would also like to do is to add a title here, add a label here, and add a label here. And sometimes for better visualization, you would also like to add some grid lines. Okay, so let's retain this. I'd like to use the blue color, but I'm going to use a line width which is a little bit thicker. Okay, so now I have that. Okay, now it's a bit easier to use. So I can change the limits of the x-axis and the y-axis. So if I want to display from -10 to 10, I can do this, xlim, open close parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis, open close brackets, And the lower limit I set to, for example, -10, and then just press space. And then the upper limit I set 10, semicolon there. And then for ylim, again, the syntax is open close parenthesis, and then open close square brackets. And then I can set this to, let's say, negative 1.1. That's the lower limit, and then just space, and then positive 1.1. Okay, and then if you run it, you have that. Okay, so I can also add the grid line. So grid on. Okay, now when you turn on the grid, then the grid lines will be shown here in the graph. And if you want to change the size or the intervals, so now we have here ticks from -10 to +10 in steps of 2. So we can change that. You type in x ticks, open close parenthesis, and then square brackets here. And then from -10, for example, and then -5, and then 0, and then 5, and then 10. Okay, and then run it. Okay, so now we have -10, -5, 0, 5, 10. Okay, you can do the same for y ticks. Okay, let's say -1, -0.5, 0, 0.5, and 1. Okay, so that's it. You notice that when you turn on the grid, it follows the tick values that you assign or that MATLAB has assigned. So the next thing that you might want to do is to add labels here at the x-axis and the y-axis. So let's start with the x-axis label. So this is actually theta, and what you can do is to type in a Greek symbol, and this is how you do it. So open close curly brackets, backslash, and since this is theta, I type in theta, like so. Okay, and then I type in radians as the units. Okay, and then close it. And for the y-axis, I will go to type y label, open parenthesis, open close quotation, and let's say just type in amplitude, okay, in arbitrary units. Okay, so if we run it, then we get that. So we have this small symbol of theta there. Okay, so you can also change the font size. What you do is type in font size, and then the default is 6. Let's exaggerate this a bit. Let's do 20, and then copy this one, and then paste it here, then run it. Okay, so now we have that, and you see clearly a little bit clearer the theta, Greek letter theta there. And of course, you want to add a title. So the title of this is a sine function. Okay, and then I'll close it, and then add a semicolon. Okay, and then type it. Of course, the font size has to be a bit larger. So this is okay. So MATLAB uses a bold font as a default font for the title. Okay, so the thing about MATLAB is that you can also save this. So you can click here, and save that as, and then you can save it as a PNG file or a JPEG or TIFF or even a PDF if you want to. You can just press Command S or Control S, but be sure to click on the figure first. So Command S for Mac OS and Control S for Windows, or you can also go here, just click save figure. Okay, but this one has an option to save the figure in MATLAB as a MATLAB figure, so that you can further edit it later. Because if you save it as a PNG, JPEG, you can no longer edit it in MATLAB. But it's a figure .fig. You can further edit the figure in MATLAB. What if I don't want to do this or use this? So now what I'm going to do is I won't delete this, but I'm going to make those as comment. So I add simply click this button here, and then everything else becomes comment. So now nothing happens. I just get the plain plot here. If I don't want to use that, I can go here to this button and open the property inspector. Okay, this is a bit, well, let's say it's a bit easier to use because I can immediately uh, um, go to the properties of my graph by simply clicking everything that I need here. So for example, the color, okay, the font size, the ticks. So I can change the ticks here. So let's say, for example, if I want if I don't want the 15, okay, I can change it here, and I can also change the grid. I can turn on the X grid and the Y grid. I can change the grid color. I can add labels and then add the title here. Just click text. Change the ruler, and if I double click on this, so I double click on that, I can immediately go to the type of marker. So there's no marker here. There is a line style, so you can click all the various line style here. The line width I can change here, so I can change it to 6, for example. You see it immediately changed. I can change this to a plus. Okay. Marker size, you change here. Okay, so you can do most of the stuff that we had typed down here by going to the property inspector. So it's up to you what you really want to do, or what you really want to use. Okay.